How did bullet time go from a filmmaking phrase to a core aspect of The Matrix Resurrections? How much of a Doors fan do you need to be to understand the new film? These are the lines in Matrix Resurrections that mean more than you realize. Early in the film, Neo's coworker Jude tells him, quote, "I'm a geek raised by machines." He's ostensibly talking about how he grew up playing video games, but it's clear that a line this blatant carries some extra meaning. Part of this line is smack in the face obvious. He's a dude who lives in the Matrix. He was literally raised by machines. What's less obvious, however, is how much it foreshadows Jude's true nature. When Bugs meets Neo, she tells him Jude is actually working with the agents. Sure enough, Jude is on the lookout for Neo, which is more than a good enough reason for Neo to leave with Bugs. He wasn't just raised by machines as a human, but as a potential threat. It's also possible that Jude's name means more than it seems. Much of the Matrix series can be read as a Christ allegory. As such, it's not a stretch to assume that Jude, the name of a man who betrays Neo, is derived from Judas. In the first act of Resurrections, Jonathan Groff's Smith tells Neo that their company has been commissioned to make a fourth Matrix game before delivering one of the most metatextual lines of the film. That's the thing about stories. They never really end. Resurrections is a sequel to a long-dormant series, both in real life and as a game in universe, so of course the story never ended. The line is true literally and metatextually, given that Resurrections is in large part a Matrix movie about making Matrix movies. What's easier to overlook, especially if you haven't seen the sequels in a while, is that it stands in direct opposition to what we heard in the third movie. In Revolutions, Neo is told by the Oracle that everything that has a beginning has an end. After the Oracle is absorbed by Smith, the agent himself delivers the line, which clues Neo in on the sacrifice he needs to make to save both the machine world and the human world of Zion. Multiple characters throughout Resurrections use the phrase bullet time. Some of the game developers use it to describe the old Matrix games. The analyst uses it to describe technology and techniques he innovated to get the upper hand over Neo. Most fans will recognize bullet time as the terminology long used to describe the franchise's slow-mo fight scenes.
You move like they do. I've never seen anyone move that fast.
So this just seems like an inside joke, right? Well, it isn't not that, but here's what's easy to forget. The term has never been used in a Matrix movie before now. A big part of this is the metatextual nature of the movie. Much of Resurrections is quite literally about making a Matrix property. There are some curious implications attached to making a filmmaking term canon. When Neo starts to get back into the flow of things with Bugs and her crew, they refer to Neo's Mojo Rising. Younger fans, or at least those not familiar with classic rock, might not recognize the reference here. Rock fans, however, will recognize Mojo Rising as a version of Mr. Mojo Rising, a nickname used by Jim Morrison of The Doors. Jim Morrison, whose lyrics were often trippy and consciousness-pushing, also went by Mr. Mojo Rising, an anagram for his name. This can most notably be heard in the song LA Woman, where he repeats it frequently. The Doors also took their name from The Doors of Perception, a book noted author Aldous Huxley wrote about his mescaline trips. It shouldn't be a huge jump to see how a story about heightened reality and changing perspective might want to name drop Morrison.
Free your mind.
Later in the movie, Niobe tells Neo, "My friends let me make up my own choices," while mulling over the mission to save Trinity. Whether it contradicts or reinforces her beliefs from Reloaded and Revolutions is, like many things in the Matrix movies, a matter of perspective. For most of Resurrections, Niobe is stuck in her ways. She refuses to confront the machines, she's not particularly interested in liberating more humans, and she's perfectly content just running defense in her own city. Where this gets complicated is how it reflects on her actions in Revolutions. In Revolutions, Niobe gives Neo command of the logo so he can visit Machine City. It's a choice that she makes of her own free will. The Oracle's message to Niobe was simply that she would have to choose whether or not to help Neo. Niobe's line in Resurrections pairs well with another observation she makes, that she never believed in the One. That might be true, but she may be misremembering the other half of the sentiment that her younger counterpart delivered.
You've never believed in the One.
I still don't.
Then why are you doing this?
I believe in him.
Unfortunately, by the time we see her again in Resurrections, it seems that Niobe no longer believes in Neo either. After Neo reunites with Sati, she finally explains how Neo and Trinity were revived. Part of it is a personal connection. Her father created the resurrection pods that brought Neo and Trinity back from the dead. It's a neat little bit of continuity, and part of it is easy to miss if you forgot her father's full title. What was it again?
I am the power plant systems manager for recycling operations.
Back in Revolutions, Neo met Sati and her parents at the Mobile Avenue station. Sati's father, Ramachandra, introduces himself. We don't actually see his work in action, but it's quite likely that recycling involves turning dead humans into the goo that gets recycled back into nutrients for the trapped humans. As such, it makes perfect narrative sense that a recycling manager would be in charge of the titular resurrection, as Neo would say. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite movies are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.